Hey everyone, I know I'm just an older guy sharing stories, but before we dive in, don't forget to like and subscribe. Today's story is a wild one. A few months ago, I was incredibly bored and decided to check out the dark web. Yeah, I know, not the best idea right off the bat, but I was curious. I'm just a regular person living a simple life. I have a normal job and live in a small town. Nothing extraordinary. Since childhood, I've loved puzzles and riddles. My grandpa got me into them. He always said, "The world is full of puzzles, you just need to find them." Little did I know those words would lead me into one of the scariest experiences of my life. One evening, I was scrolling through forums on the dark web, searching for something to occupy my mind. That's when I stumbled upon a thread titled "The Ultimate Puzzle, Enter If You Dare." It caught my attention immediately. No comments, no upvotes, just the title and a link. My curiosity got the better of me, so I clicked it. The page was completely black, except for a single line of white text. Solve the puzzle and uncover the truth. Below it was a small input box for answers. I'm always up for a challenge, so I started with the first puzzle. It was a simple cipher, and I solved it within minutes. But each puzzle that followed grew harder and harder, involving complex math, historical facts, and all sorts of obscure knowledge. I became obsessed. Weeks passed, I barely slept, ate very little, and stopped seeing my friends and family. They noticed something was off, but I just told them I was stressed about work. In reality, I was getting deeper into a dark and bizarre world. Then came the final puzzle. It was beyond anything I had ever encountered, requiring knowledge of ancient languages, quantum physics, and cryptography. I was consumed, spending every waking moment on it, feeling like I was close to something monumental. When I finally cracked it, the screen went black for a moment before a message appeared. "Welcome to the truth." I was redirected to a page full of encrypted files. My heart raced as I began decrypting them one by one. They were CIA documents detailing information about UFOs and aliens. It felt surreal, like I had stepped into a movie. One document stood out. It was about something called Project Alien, a top-secret initiative aimed at communicating with extraterrestrials. The details were chilling. Experiments on humans and animals, psychological manipulation, people disappearing without a trace. The more I read, the more horrified I became. I knew I shouldn't be reading this, but I couldn't stop. There were autopsy reports on alien bodies, photos of recovered UFOs, and transcripts of conversations between high-ranking officials discussing the existence of aliens. Then strange things started happening. My computer would turn on by itself in the middle of the night. I began receiving anonymous emails filled with cryptic messages, and my phone would ring only to have static on the other end. It felt like I was being watched. One night, as I was going through more documents, I heard a loud knock on my door. It was nearly midnight, and I wasn't expecting anyone. My heart pounded as I cautiously approached and looked through the peephole. No one was there. I opened the door and found a small, unmarked envelope on the doorstep. Inside was a single sheet of paper with a message typed in red ink. "Stop what you're doing. You're in over your head." That's when I realized I had gone too far. I tried to delete the files, but my computer froze every time I attempted it. In a panic, I disconnected from the internet and shut it down, hoping it would fix things. But the weird occurrences only escalated. I started seeing shadows move out of the corner of my eye, hearing whispers when I was alone, and feeling an overwhelming sense of dread. I knew I couldn't keep this to myself any longer, but telling my friends and family the truth seemed impossible. They'd think I'd lost my mind. So I laid low for a while. I stayed offline, hoping everything would blow over. But I couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching me. One night, while out on a walk, I noticed a black van parked a few houses down. I'd seen it before, but now it felt like more than a coincidence. That night, I checked all the locks on my doors and windows, feeling increasingly paranoid. Around 3 a.m., I heard a soft thud outside my door. My heart racing, I grabbed a baseball bat and cautiously opened the door. Another envelope lay on my doorstep. Inside was a USB drive and a note that simply read, "You need to see this." Despite my better judgment, I plugged the drive into my offline computer. It contained video files, each dated. The most recent one was from just 2 days earlier. I clicked on it. The video showed a lab. Scientists were examining what appeared to be an alien body. They spoke in hushed tones, discussing its anatomy, origins, and what its existence meant for humans. The next video was even more disturbing, showing experiments being conducted on people. They were strapped to tables, subjected to strange devices and injections. Their screams were horrifying, but the last video was the worst. It showed high-ranking officials in a meeting, talking about Project Elysium. They discussed how they were controlling information, manipulating the public, and ensuring that the truth about aliens never got out. One of them mentioned that anyone who got too close to the truth would be taken care of. I felt like I was going to throw up. I yanked the USB drive from my computer and threw it across the room, panic setting in. What had I gotten myself into? The following days were a blur. I was constantly looking over my shoulder, feeling like I was being watched. Then one evening, everything changed. I was home alone, trying to unwind when the power suddenly went out. My heart skipped a beat. Grabbing my phone, I turned on the flashlight and headed toward the fuse box. Just as I was about to flip the switch, I heard footsteps behind me. I turned around and my phone's light revealed a man in a suit standing in the doorway. His face was emotionless. "You need to stop," he said calmly. "You're in too deep." I stood frozen, barely able to speak. "Who are you?" I finally asked. "That doesn't matter," he replied. "What matters is that you stop now, for your own good." He turned and disappeared into the darkness. A few seconds later, the power came back on. I stood there, trembling. I knew I couldn't just walk away from this. I had to find the truth, no matter the cost. I started preparing. I backed up all the files, encrypted them, and documented everything. I reached out to a few trusted people, hinting that I might need their help soon. I don't know what's going to happen next, but I can't let this go. This is bigger than anything I could have imagined, and I'm too far in to back out now. After that man showed up, I knew I couldn't stop. I kept reviewing the documents, trying to understand what I had uncovered. Then I found something that really shook me. A document titled Human Contact. It explained why we haven't made contact with aliens. We did, but things went horribly wrong. According to the document, humans captured aliens, tortured them for information, and experimented on them. Reading it made me feel sick. Reports describe peaceful attempts by the aliens to communicate, but we responded with violence. They might have come in peace, even to help, but we reacted with fear and aggression. The document detailed horrific experiments performed on these beings, often resulting in their deaths. It was